Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Behind the Group podcast. I am DJ Keo.
And I am Basil Barrington, and we are back with episode number 7 of Silo, the Flamekeepers. This was a really good episode. IMDb gave it an 8.4. I think that's on point.
That's on point,
That is
100%.
on
That's on
point.
point.
And we were just talking a little bit offline, and we were saying like this is
Mhm.
this is not bang bang. You're not getting like battles in space or
Yeah,
anything like that. This is a thriller.
yeah.
It's a drama. It's sci-fi. It's very cool.
It's very thought provoking. Like you're
Yeah.
really, you got to think about like what is life like if you can't remember your history,
Right.
and like you have ancient civilizations where the stuff is lost, and you dig them up and whatever. You can't figure out what they did or whatever. This is that. These guys, they're stuck underground. They don't know why they're there, and they don't even care to know why they're there.
Yeah.
And anybody who has a inkling of trying to be interested with stuff, they shoot you out. They you get you out of the paint. Like they don't
Like
want you there at all.
put you in a psych ward,
Yeah, get you
shoot
in the
you
psych
up
ward, shoot you full of drugs and stuff. Like
for
yeah,
the rest of
this
your
is
life.
this is a rough episode because like Jules is going through it. Like she had to deal with her father, and so you kind of learn a little bit more backstory. Like her mother, she self-deleted
Hmm.
after her brother or something like that.
Yeah,
And
man.
she's kind of part of this secret society called the Flames, those
The
the
Flame Keepers.
Flamekeepers.
Yeah, wow.
And yeah, you started learning a little bit more. Like so people aren't all dumb in the silo. Some people are trying to keep hold of history.
Hmm.
And we learned a little bit more about the book that
Excuse me.
it was a George he got from his mother, who got from this other lady. And yeah, we're learning a little bit more. So what did you think about the stuff with Jules and her father? Like
Um,
his job is basically kind of keeping people unpregnant. That's his job.
and then lying to them. This is and like
And
she
lying
said,
to
she was like,
everybody.
and like she said, she was like, but why lie to them? Just like tell them, like, no,
Hmm.
you can't have kids. That's it.
Well, you gotta, it's like the Matrix. You have to give hope.
Yeah.
The idea that it's possible, like it's gonna be okay. Like if everybody's like, no, you can't get pregnant, whatever, they might be a revolt. Like people might. So you want to give the idea, like, oh, it didn't work out this time. Sorry, bro. Like that's better than no. When you get to no, people start to you get rebellious. I think that's
Mhm.
what it is about.
I
That's
think that
interesting though.
I think in the beginning I wasn't too sure about him, but I think episode number 3 or 4, I was like, this guy,
Mm-hmm.
there's something up again with him. So when come to find out
Mm-hmm.
with this episode number 7, the Flame Keepers, come to find out that he's actually working with the silo
Judicial, I guess.
judicial.
Like,
Yeah,
who's he
uh-huh.
working with? Who's
Well,
who's above judicial? The guy that never sleeps? Like there's somebody
well,
above them.
yeah, because the Judge Meadow and also the Dr. Nichols, they both
Mhm.
kept saying
Yeah, they're
they,
saying they.
like
They're
who is
scared
they?
of they.
Hmm.
Yeah. There's somebody above.
They
There's a
won't
group of
let
people
you.
above.
Is
Yeah.
someone above the judicial, someone above Sims,
Mhm.
above all this stuff.
Mhm.
And you know what? Those people, they're not in this
Mhm.
silo. If they're in,
I don't think they are either.
no,
I think you're right. I think
they're in
you're
some
right.
command center, because what Sims is doing, I don't get Common, I don't get Sims, the whole nine. I'm just
Mhm.
like, this is
Mhm.
crazy. But when Jules went into her father's new apartment, which is a lot smaller, he did
Mhm.
have relics, but she
Mhm.
also realized that Judge Meadows had relics, and she was like, oh, I get it now. So you
I
guys
get to
shut up,
keep
you
it.
get all this, to keep
Yeah.
relics. I'm like, but they're just relics. They're like, it's this art. Like you can't sell them. They're not valuable in the silo. I don't get this, but it's very
Well, if you
interesting,
if you have something nobody else is supposed to have, it is kind of valuable then. If, you have a secret that nobody else is allowed to have this thing except you. That turns into currency, I think. At least for people in the silo.
Yeah, that's possible. But I mean,
I know. For us,
yeah.
logically, like I just go to the
Yeah,
store
it's
buy
just
something,
like,
not a big
can
deal.
can I
But
sell this joint to get out the silo? No. You know what I'm saying? So
fair enough. Yeah.
yeah, but I understand. But you know,
Mhm.
so Jules, she's on to something. She's not gonna stop. Sims or
Ooh.
Common, I don't know what's going on with him, but his character
Mhm.
is getting worse and worse to me anyway, every like
Yeah, he's
episode.
a douchebag.
He's a douchebag,
I don't
dude,
care
for
what happens
real.
to him. Yeah.
Exactly. It's
Now
just like, what's
here's
going
the
on?
interesting thing,
What's up?
because there's big, Common's fairly big star, and
Hmm.
Rebecca Ferguson, huge star. She's in
Hmm.
like Mission Impossible, whatever. How long can they do this show? Is this like a 2-season thing, miniseries, or are they gonna go like 7 seasons? Like, what's the plan here?
Well, so let's say that this first season,
Mhm.
would you think that this first season would be book one, which is called what is it called?
Yeah, yeah,
Will or something like that?
uh, yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it's possible this could be like book one because
Okay,
there.
so
I think there's
there
4 or 3
it's
books.
3 books.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just 3 seasons. Who knows? You know?
Well, I think one of the books is like a prequel book, and then the last book is the continuation of whatever this initial story is.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. I have to do some more research on it, so don't quote me on that. But one of the books I think is a prequel or something to that effect. And
Hmm.
so I guess it's maybe 2 books official for this storyline.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
they could wrap this up in 2 years and be done with it.
I'm gonna say at least 3 seasons. At least.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's just dependent on Rebecca Ferguson, how busy she is, because she's big, man. She's in Mission Impossible. She got
Well,
stuff to do.
she basically went to the judge and said, listen, I just want to see this woman for 2 hours. If you let me do that, I'll
Mhm.
be gone by the end of the week. So she's already
Yeah,
setting
yeah.
herself up. She's like, listen, I got other work to do. I'm not going to be part of Silo, season
Mhm.
2 or whatever. Who knows? It
Fair
could
enough, fair
it could
enough.
sort of be like it could almost be like a Citadel where you just bring in new
Mhm.
spies every season. You know what I'm saying? And just start something totally different. So I don't know, but she's finding out stuff. She did find a hard
Yeah.
drive,
Yeah,
right?
she found the hard drive. Did Judicial see it? I don't know if they saw it.
No, she put a blanket on the mirror.
Oh, yeah, yeah, she put the blanket over. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Isn't
But
it
they know
also
about the book, though.
Yeah,
But I
because
don't
they
think they
they
know what's
saw it
in the book.
because they saw it through her mirror in her apartment, which they took the flowers down. Isn't it so
Yeah.
weird that and see, this is one of the things that make me not like Sims, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what he does is he just goes around the silo cutting
Mhm.
like flowers down from like mirrors.
That's the hilarious part. The people here, they're just like, "Oh, we just put the flowers here at the table." They didn't even
Yeah,
know.
right.
And then maintenance came in there and it's like, "Oh, we smashed the vase. Sorry, bro."
Yeah.
And the flowers are all over. They just left the flowers on the ground, like, "Oh, we
Right.
accidentally broke your vase."
Mhm. Yeah, that's
So,
kind of weird right there,
yeah.
and it's just like, oh my goodness. So this
So
is
he's upset that they know there's cameras in the mirrors.
right. Mhm.
That she knows there's cameras in the mirror.
Yeah,
And I think the other lady knows too. Well, I guess the 3 people know. So the ex-girlfriend knows because she put stuff all around her room.
yeah.
She knows for sure. The old lady knows for sure, but I guess they put her on drugs, so she can't remember. And
Mhm.
now Jules knows.
Yeah,
And I think the guy who's selling the relics, he knows too, or
yeah.
the whatever that the
Mhm.
painter guy, he knows too.
You
So
know,
I think that's
Bernard
yeah.
may know too. He may know.
Oh, Bernard knows for sure.
Yeah.
He knows.
So this is all about like Bernard now understanding that, hey, you know what? We actually are in a fight between us
Mhm.
and the
And them,
judicial. Yes, exactly.
them, the quote
Exactly.
unquote them.
Whoever they are. So they're just trying to create, now they want to work together with the sheriff like Jules and,
Mm.
Bernard and maybe even Billings, because I think he's also like,
I
he's having a
think
come
Billings
to
is
Jesus
a
moment, right?
I think he's a good guy and
Hmm.
he's supposed to be a useful idiot.
Yeah.
Like he's they think he's not aware, but he is self-aware.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I think
I,
that's
I,
that's the thing with Billings.
I kind of think that, dude, let me ask you this here. Do you
Mhm.
think that in this season one, that
Mhm.
Common will die? Sims.
Ooh, I don't know.
I'm going to say
That's
yes.
possible.
I'm going to say
That's
Common.
possible.
I'm also going to say
Mhm.
Billings, because he has the syndrome or whatever that is, right?
Yeah, he might be sacrificed to
Right.
whatever
Exactly.
in like an action-packed finale. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, I just think that at some point people are gonna just with Sims Common, they're just gonna be like, this this guy's not good, so he's gonna have
Mhm.
an accident, he may fall off the stairs or something like that. Who
That's
knows?
possible, man. That is possible. Because that's the
So
way people go is stairs.
this
Or they drink something they shouldn't drink.
Yeah. So, that was speaking of drinking. So, Gloria, she basically said that they were basically putting stuff in the water, dude, like screwing up the
That's
entire
fascinating.
population.
Bro, that is fascinating. They put something in the water to make people forget. So is that like the conspiracy theory for fluoride? Like there's something
Hmm.
like that where they have something in there to make people like docile and
Right.
less feisty. That's probably
Okay.
like after the what they had the rebellion. That would make sense that they would do something like that. Because I think before the rebellion, they kind of knew what was going on and by history and everything.
Right. So, do you think that there was actually a rebellion?
Yeah, I think the rebellion's real. I definitely think it's real.
So, okay,
But I
with
think,
that
yeah.
with that theory, if you think the rebellion is weird, I mean, for real, knowing
Hmm.
that the silo or the judicial basically poisoned the water so that people can forget, right? So when
Yeah,
now that they don't have memories, the silo, the judicial can instill new memories in them. Like there was a rebellion, right? It's
that's
only
a good
one
point. I didn't even
silo,
think about
right?
that. That's a very good point.
So it's just like they
Oh
keep
man,
talking
you're
about
blowing my mind right now.
they keep talking about the rebellion, but what is the rebellion? What is it? And see, this goes back to what we were talking about. You sort of
Hmm.
alluded to the fact that you think we may be in 2300. And I'm saying,
Hmm.
like, I think we may be in 2030, 2040. Was
Hmm.
there a rebellion? If there was a
That's a
rebellion,
good
what is
point.
it? Why was it? How did it happen? Why was there a rebellion? What is that, like what, a civil war or something like that? We don't know.
Yeah,
I kind of think there wasn't a
but
rebellion.
for something like that to happen, people would
Hmm.
have to die. A lot of people would have to die.
Yeah.
So maybe because there doesn't seem to be any remnants of that kind of like a fight. You would have like maintenance, would have destruction. You had destruction on different levels. It doesn't seem to be any.
Where's the
So maybe
army?
you're right.
Where's the
Maybe
army?
they're right. Yeah, like
Right.
how would they put that down too?
Yeah,
Like there's not enough
exactly.
terrorists for that.
You know,
So maybe you're right. Maybe the rebellion is the lie, and they got people stupid. That's a good point.
yeah.
Blowing my mind right
It's
now.
sort of like what I said last week was like, this could just be like a huge, giant government experiment. It's just like, let's put these people here. Let's like take
Hmm.
their memories away and let's indoctrinate them from
Hmm.
once they lose their memories to present day that there was a rebellion. This is the silo. We only have one. You have to live
Hmm.
here. You have all these levels, yada, yada, yada. All of it's a
Hmm.
lie. I mean, when you right, all of it.
That's that's a good point. I didn't think
Yeah,
about it like that. So you're right. It could be less years because once you start putting stuff in the water and people start getting docile and start forgetting,
yeah.
I mean, because you're right. They do the pact, they recite stuff over and over, like the Pledge of Allegiance kind of thing.
Hmm.
Like that in that same vein of you just gotta say it every day. You gotta read this pact. You can kind of get people into the thought process of this is the way you think about something, and then that's the only way it's ever been. This is a very good point. This is why you come to this podcast. You get insightful commentary here.
Exactly. And so when old boy was like when she became the sheriff and she had to put her hand on a book. First of all, I thought the book was the Bible, but no,
Yeah, yeah.
there's no
There's
Bible.
no Bible. It's pact. It's
This is
pact. There's no
the I
Bible.
mean, this is how you basically make your
Mhm.
population, do or think a certain way. It's
Mhm.
not overnight. This happens over years, decades.
Yeah, it has to be okay. At a minimum, this has to be 40, 50 years.
Hmm. But from where?
Minimum.
But from where? From which point?
I think it's got to be in like the 80s, 90s where they went into the silo because of the technology. But again, right? They're purposely keeping the technology dumb.
Mhm.
So, it could have started in
At
like
least in that silo,
2019.
right?
Yeah, at least in that
Hmm.
silo, but it could have
Hmm.
started in 2019, but they had the regular terminals there and then they get in the silo for 50 years, whatever. But it's long enough that there's old people who remember before. So it has to be a minimum 2 generations. So maybe 80 years.
Well, let's just say that they don't remember anything. So who's to say, right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it's gotta be at least 2 generations.
Why?
You know
Why
what I'm
two
saying? Like,
generations?
because, like, you'd have to have the original generation that remembers, and then they grow up to be, because, like, there's old people in the silo. Like, the mayor is pretty old,
Hmm.
Marnes is pretty old. Like, they're at least in their 60s. So, they would have to be kids in the silo when the thing got started, and they told them this is the official story, when those people were kids.
Mm,
So
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here.
okay, okay.
Okay, so let's say, all right, so let's say, well, I'll take your theory, right? Why
Mhm,
can't, the silo was created and these people were placed in the silo and then
mhm.
immediately started like receiving or drinking the water, lost their memories? Then, it's almost like, like in North Korea where you're watching stuff on television and, it's just like
Mhm.
you have to
Yeah,
do
they
these
just tell you
things,
this is what it is.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
just like, okay, so now that these people are having kids selectively, right?
Mhm.
These kids already know that this is the silo, this is what they know. The reason
Yeah.
why I keep saying that I think it may be earlier is because just based on what the furniture looks like. Did you see the sofa that
It's just
Judge
it's got
Meadows
a
was laying
70s
on?
vibe. It's got a 70s vibe, like 60s, 70s,
I
for
don't,
sure. It's
dude.
got that
I mean, it's going to be fascinating to know which year they're in, though, huh?
the only thing that, because there was no color monitors back then, unless it's some high-tech future stuff from the government. The color monitors, like, really came into existence, like, in the 90s, 80, like no, they had it in the 80s, but, like, They they're looking at color CRT screens. They're
Mhm.
color. That's the only thing that's giving me a reference that's gotta be 70s, 80s when they went into this thing or when they built it. So it
Well,
could have been from the, because they had the Cold War, right?
who?
So
Where? Who
maybe
had the
you're
Cold
saying,
War?
like, in this time
Hmm.
frame for
Hmm.
this thing, the alternate time zone, whatever.
Okay.
If there was a Cold War, like a
Hmm.
nuclear fallout, whatever, it would have been the 80s
Hmm.
when they would have gone down there. And they would, then you could technically have color monitors back then. You could have that kind of technology. Because everything's like the old school version of the hard drive is the old 3.5 drive. It's got the ribbons and everything like that. It's got everything's old school still. So, I feels like
Mm,
that's the time
okay.
frame from when they went in, but maybe they built it in the '70s and towards the beginning of the '80s, like, 79, 81 kinda
Mhm.
thing.
I
Like
remember
it
when I remember when I was working at a job and the IT person,
Mhm,
um, he was into Second Life, right?
mhm.
Remember Second
Yeah,
Life?
yeah, yeah, I remember Second Life.
Second Life was the metaverse before the metaverse, right?
Yeah.
So what he did was he was into Second Life. So what he did was he blocked the IP on all the computers except his, right? So Bernard has access to all the servers, right? All the
Yeah, yeah,
servers,
in the
right?
servers, yeah.
You can possibly inject some like some software, some code that says, "Hey, you know what? I want these monitors to be color, even though they're black and white." Remember, these are bubble back, monitors. These aren't
Yeah,
flat
yeah.
screens.
Yeah, this is the CRTs,
Yeah,
old
these are
school.
yeah. So
It's
so it's just
Apple.
like maybe they have some control based on the servers, like he said. Without the servers, the generators don't run anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And speaking of Bernard, let me ask you this here. So, oh boy, who I can't remember his name, I think it's NASA or whatever, the guy who's
Mhm.
into Jules, right?
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
Jules always see, and they went for a
The
little kiss,
the
right?
lurker.
Right,
The
uh-huh.
lurker.
Right. So so now Jules know that he works for IT. He's a systems analyst.
Mhm.
It's so obvious. It is so obvious that we know that she is going to use him. Like, listen, I need this
Of
information.
course.
Can you help me? Right?
Of course
It's
you could
so
use him.
obvious, right? What
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
think? What do you think's
Yeah.
gonna how do you think he comes into the whole thing?
I think that she needs some kinda information, and she's gonna ask him, and
Hmm.
it's gonna go down badly for him, at least. She's gonna definitely use him to get information, just like George did to all the other people It's gonna be the same kind of situation here.
Do you think
But
that he works for the silo, for the judicial?
that's a very good point. He could be a plant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But you gotta like everybody's a suspect in this thing
Everyone,
because you
dude.
don't know
Everyone.
who's who and what their agendas are. And he definitely is looking for her. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
not a coincidence or whatever that they keep bumping into each other. So that's possible.
He's always there when she comes, when she leaves. Always there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He was there in
So
the beginning when she went up there. She
yeah.
walked past in the first episode. So
I don't know, dude.
he could be a plant. He could be.
This is man,
Could be good.
Silo is very this is such a great TV series, man. I'm trying to okay, let me ask you this before we wrap it up.
Mhm.
Is there like name a TV series that you watch that's just as compelling as the Silo or the Silo? I mean, we both watched The Expanse, but I think The Expanse is
Yeah.
on a different level, right?
Yeah, because it's a different kind of sci-fi
Right,
space,
uh-huh.
whatever.
Mhm.
Silo reminds me of Lost. That do you remember what did you watch Lost? When it
I
was
did
I think it was
not
like
on Fox.
ABC.
It was on Fox, right?
I think it was like ABC.
ABC,
So
okay.
Lost was one of those shows where every episode was like this insane mystery that makes no sense. And so
Mhm.
you have to keep watching it to figure out what's gonna happen next week, whatever. They fumbled the bag when they ended the season though. Like it's a dumb ending. But like I would say for the first 6, 7 seasons, Lost was like, oh my god, I can't believe what I'm watching right now. And the mysteries and stuff in Silo, every time you watch the show, you're like, I need to see the next show. I need to know more. I think you want to know more. And I think it kind of reminds me of that when Lost first started, like what the hell's going on in this island? You have the same feeling with the silo. Like, what the hell's going on with the silo? Why are these things happening? And you want to know more. You want to meet more people, you want to see more things. This is
Mhm.
I would say it was my equivalent to it. But I think Silo's gonna end better than Lost
Yeah,
did.
Lost was it's so interesting because Lost was just a show that people spoke about at work. The next day when it was on,
It was
people
a
just
water
they were
it
like,
was a
and I
water
was like,
cooler
"You're
show.
into that show? Really? You?" And it's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Wow, okay, so that was how many seasons was Lost?"
I think 7? I can't
Oh,
remember.
wow.
I watched the Lost like 2, 3 times, like, completely through.
Wow, okay.
It's what the hell am I watching? I can't believe this thing is so insane. It gets
Hmm.
terrible at the end, but it is really like, the first
Yeah.
couple seasons
Hmm.
before they fumble the bag, it is really good.
That's what
I can't
people
stress it
say.
enough.
They say that the
It's
last
good.
season like really just screwed everything up for them.
They went on a limb. I don't know what they were thinking.
They're like, just be done with it. So
Yeah, yeah,
listen,
it's hard to
Silo
explain.
episode number 7, the Flamekeepers. So what are you giving this? How are you rating this episode?
I say 9. The suspense was crazy, especially when Jules saw her father, and they're moving this lady around the thing, and and Sims was watching the monitors.
She was
I was
like,
like, "Oh my god, what's gonna happen?"
babies, you know? She was like, nurseries. She was like,
Yeah,
babies. Okay. Yeah,
he's
this
like,
is
"Oh,
you know, when I saw the 8.4, I was like, yeah, yeah, that's on point. But I agree. A 9 is where this is.
it's an
Again, think
excellent episode."
I mean, again, we're not getting any space fights. We're not getting
Mhm,
any shootouts. This is
mhm,
all cerebral. You got to think about this.
mhm. Yeah, yeah,
And
and we always got theories about like we were sitting there debating like 10 minutes about like when did the silo get built? Like what's
yeah,
happening here? I have so many questions I want answered. So yeah, I'm all in.
that's the mark of a great show when you have like just people like trying to
100%.
figure out like what's going on, like what about this, what about that, blah 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 blah.
Mhm,
And it's just like those are the sort of shows when we do these TV series and we sort of find something that we really like The Expanse, like Foundation, like Loki. It's just like, what next? Why that? That should be
mhm.
happening. Yada yada yada. So yeah, man, this is 7 episodes thus far. And we've seen like what 4 people get killed. Well, 4 people got killed, murdered, and then
Yeah.
two. What do they call it? Two went to cleaning, or two was cleaning, or
Yeah, the
they went to
cleaning,
clean.
yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so and they didn't show any sort of like they didn't show any blood or anything like that. I mean, you know, um,
Yeah, it's implied. You don't really
Hmm.
see it. It's not necessary
Right.
to the plot. You don't
Yeah,
need the gratuitous violence for the plot. Like, it's
exactly.
more thought
Very
provoking.
good
Plus,
show,
it's
man.
Apple. Apple's
Yeah,
family friendly, so they're like,
yeah.
"Yeah, we're not doing
You're
that."
not getting any like bang bang. You're not getting any like ridiculous sex scenes. None of that
Yeah,
stuff. You may get a
Apple's for the
kiss, but that's
kids.
it.
Apple's like Wu-Tang, it's for the kids, right?
Right. Exactly. Well, there you have it. Thanks for checking out another episode of the Behind the Groove podcast. I am Basil Barrington.
I am DJ Keo.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And until next time, peace.
All right.